Are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 4,000 hours of the best pro wrestling events from over 110 of the biggest names in the industry from over 15 countries around the globe. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Don't you want to sound rich?
Welcome to the 50th episode of Social Suplex's podcast about AEW with a proclivity for positivity. Welcome to All Things Elite. I am your host, Tiffany's friend, Floyd Johnson. And with me today is Miss Phoenix AEW herself, Amy. How you doing, Amy?
I am fantastic. How are you, Floyd?
I am doing well, and we got super special guests today. We got the lyrical voice of the Social Suplex, Mr. Rich Latta. How you doing, Rich?
Man, I'm really glad to be here. 50th episode. I listen every week, and just happy to join and talk about AEW Revolution. Man, I'm doing great.
Yes, and last but certainly not least, we got the Social Suplex's exalted one, Jeremy Donovan. What's up, Jeremy?
What's up, guys? So happy to be here on the 50th episode of All Things Elite. Just like Rich, I listen every week too. You guys are killing it. I love AEW, and I'm very excited to talk about Dynamite and Revolution.
All right. Thank you, and thank you all. Coordinating, getting all four of us on the show together is never very easy. I was actually off today, so I made my schedule extremely flexible. Amy jumped on a day early. She has a family and kids. I thank you for that because, I know that's not easy for you. And then Rich and Jeremy are both up kind of late on the East Coast to record with us, so I thank you both for that.
Glad to be here, man.
Yeah. Yes. So just want to start the show by reminding you this episode of All Things Elite is brought to you by Powerslam TV. We're at Powerslam TV, where you can get access to over 4,000 hours of content from 110 of your favorite wrestling brands from countries all around the globe, right onto your laptop and multiple mobile devices. Yeah, that's it. If you use the code Social Suplex, you get the first month free. And so we had a contest. We've done a few of these, but today we had a contest where you had to leave a review, like, comment. The winner of this contest, someone I actually met last year in Chicago at All Out. His name is Tyler Baldwin. He listens every week. He literally sends emails and messages in. So when his name came up as the winner, I was very happy for him. So Tyler will get the $50 gift card to Pro Wrestling Tees, and he will be watching AEW Revolution for free this week. So congrats to Tyler.
Congratulations, Tyler. That is awesome.
Yes, and keep remembering to post your reviews on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher. I believe is the way you have to go. Red Circle does not have a way for you to leave a review, but you can leave something better than review. You can leave money. So go ahead and hit the button.
That includes you, Tony Khan, in case you are listening to this and you want.
You might as well, because everybody's saying we're paid by AEW anyway. So hey, buddy, pay up.
Yes. Yes. I mean, that money still spent. I don't care. So yes. So if you feeling like you want to leave a review and you can't figure it out, just drop a few bucks in there. I won't be mad at you. I give you a shout on the show. I give you a shout on the show.
And there's a very quick way to, if you go to socialsuplex.com/donate, and you'll see a list of the shows there. You can click on the donate button under the All Things Elite logo and drop that cash in there.
Yeah, there you go.
That is fabulous. Check that out.
Yes, and please support everyone on this podcast today by following us on our Twitter accounts. There's the @ATElitePod, @SocialSuplex, @Phoenix, the newly christened @Phoenix AEW, @All Elite Tiffany, @Jeremy L. Donovan, and @Rich Latta 32. I do that at the beginning of the show because I always forget to do it at the end. So just letting everyone know. So we have it. All right. So I'm going to hand it over to Amy let's look into the Dynamite review.
All right. Now, before we move into that, since we just got done throwing out a ton of plugs out there, I want to do two more. We've got Jeremy over at Keepin It Strong Style for New Japan Podcast. This is one of the most renowned New Japan podcasts out there. If you go to Reddit, if you go on Twitter, and people are asking, hey, what podcast should I listen to for New Japan? It's Keepin It Strong Style just about every single time. It's awesome. Also, head over to Rich Latta's podcast, One Nation Wrestling. They're both exemplary, outstanding podcasts to listen to. So please think about including them in your daily podcast lineup.
Yes, One Nation Radio is my first listen every week because it's the first podcast that comes out of the week, and I always listen to that before anything else.
Plus, I mean, you got the smooth sounds of Rich Latta. Like, what's not to love about that, dude?
I'm getting put over here.
Yeah.
Not used to this.
Yes.
That's what we do, man. We put over everybody.
One Nation Radio, we're the home of negativity, some would say. So.
Yes. Now, I can say about One Nation Radio, Mr. James Boyd, it's the only reason I know anything about Stardom. Only reason I know anything about that. I wouldn't even know how to pronounce the names. It wasn't for the Stardom minute at the end. When that music hits, I do a little shimmy, and get ready for my Stardom.
Dr. Joshi, James Boyd, dropping those Stardom facts on us every week, man.
Yep.
Yeah, I get to
watch Stardom.
I get to hear about the Wrestler of the Year and AEW roster member V. Priestley.
He was furious.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started into AEW Dynamite, because once again, I think this was one of the best episodes of Dynamite that we've had yet. And that's saying something because, again, every single week we seem to keep saying that. And AEW really seems to have just gotten its stride in, I want to say, since January of this year. They started out in October. They had a few months to build 3 different titles, 3 different divisions, and now they've really found, what they're doing out there. What have you guys thought about the first few months of the year with AEW Dynamite?
Yeah, I think the first few months have been excellent this year. I was at the first Dynamite of the year in Jacksonville, and that was just an awesome show. Loved the Cody and Darby match, and there's so much about that show that was awesome. That really just kind of kicked off this wave that AEW has been riding since then, and I feel like every week the show gets better and better. Each week tops the next week. The storytelling is great. The promos are great. They're just on fire right now. There's so much momentum behind AEW and Dynamite and what they've been doing.
Brian Alvarez, in his book, the Def WCW book, he was writing, sometimes when a promotion's hot, like AEW is, that it feels like you can do nothing wrong and literally without trying. And I feel like they're in that stage right now, as conversely, when, a promotion's cold, you can't do anything right. So with these guys being on this run, it's been a really special time, just passing, thinking about AEW's a year ago, where it was a year ago, where it is right now, it's not even back to Double or Nothing yet. And it just feels like, it's feeling like one of the top promotions in the world. If you're talking about how well it's booked, how the stars are being presented, the, match output, just every week, the tidal wave of positivity, regarding the events. You can't, really find like someone like a promotion that's hotter than AEW right now.
Yeah, like my most hardcore NXT friends are starting to tell me, like, the show is just better every week. And like, and it was like, and it's very hard for them. And I try not to rub it in, or I'm not calling out their names, but there's like, okay, I watched AEW first this week. That's me. I'm big Mr. Watch AEW first. Watch NXT later.
Stay vigilant.
Yeah, stay vigilant.
Yes.
And I'm starting to get people telling me, like, okay, well, I don't want to see AEW spoiled because it's so good. Everyone's talking about it when it's going on, so they're getting on and they're watching it live. And I just like, and I'm like, I've been saying it for a while, man. Before the shows were kind of close, but like the last 3 weeks, they haven't been close. I'm just talking about pure, trying to be in the middle, watching a wrestling show. One has been very entertaining, and one has felt like work to watch.
Yeah, definitely agree. I do watch both programs. I watch AEW live on Wednesday, stay vigilant. NXT, I'll catch sometime later in the week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whenever I get to it. And I'm going to compare it to pizza. I feel like when you watch NXT, you're eating the school cafeteria pizza. Like, it's okay, but, the cheese is kind of stretchy, kind of plasticky, and it's just not the best quality pizza. But when you're watching AEW Dynamite, you're getting that fresh, homemade, gourmet pizza with the freshest toppings, the cheese perfectly grated on there, the quality meat. Like, it's the perfect pizza every week.
Okay, well, I want pizza now.
I'm going to
this
Chicago
would be a great
tomorrow.
time to see if we had it'd be a great time if we had a pizza sponsor. We could have just slid that in right there.
Yeah.
So if you guys are making pizza and you're listening out there, that could have been you.
You got this homemade pizza with the great toppings, just like my pizza here at Omaha Pizza Company.
Use our promo code Social Suplex to get your first month free.
There we go. We got it. It's done. Now, see, I love Wednesdays. Wednesdays is like my Friday now. I will not miss Dynamite. In fact, I've gone so far as to make sure that my kids' extracurricular classes are not on Wednesday. And if they are, I reschedule them. Like, Wednesday is just for Dynamite. And I love that it feels like that must-see television, that you're just excited. There's an electricity in the air. Everyone's talking about it. We had people over at our house for a Dynamite party, the very first one in October, and people still do that. Like, they'll just have get-togethers where they have friends that come over and they watch Dynamite, and it feels like a really special show that's packed with excitement, packed with craziness. And, especially in the case of what we're going to be talking about soon, sometimes just stuff that you can't even process what you're watching until well after it's over. With that said, let's get into this week's Dynamite. We had a kickoff of Pac and Omega's 30-minute Iron Man match. I was sure this was going to be the main event, so I was shocked when I turned it on, and they're just starting it right now. And the coolest thing about this match was that, like, I hate to be the person who's like, I miss New Japan Kenny Omega, but I miss New Japan Kenny Omega. And people are allowed to change, and obviously the format of Dynamite and television and everything is quite different than those long, consistent 30-minute to 60-minute matches. But this was the match where we saw both Pac and Kenny Omega have to really struggle against each other and, like, have these crazy stiff kicks and chops and kicks to the face and jaw, like, repeatedly. And so you had these crazy spots, you had this crazy brutality, but you had that intensity that, for me, I think did a really great job of showing people who maybe are new to Kenny Omega, for instance, what the excitement is all about. What were your guys' thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I thought it was a classic. One of the best matches in American television history, no questions. I gave this match 5 stars, and I thought, and to speak to your point with the New Japan Kenny thing, I think that Kenny is kind of feeling a lot of pressure from folks that maybe just heard the long reputation of who Kenny Omega was in New Japan, but I don't think they, this is not their fault. They didn't watch it, but every Kenny Omega match wasn't a 5-star match in New Japan. It wasn't a 6-star match, but there were 4.5s, there were 4.25s, and a couple of the G1s. But what happens is this guy gets in a groove and then just keeps it rolling. And if you've looked at it since January 1st, since that 6-man, between him and Hangman and then rolling into this guy's like been in a groove. This was coming. And I think he's one of the most complete wrestlers to ever live. Like, you want to talk about someone being a great tag wrestler. You want to talk about someone being a great mixed match wrestler. You want to talk about main event wrestling that pushes the your 30-minute Wrestle Kingdom style main events, 40-minute main events, hour matches, different things like that. And he's a guy that wants to challenge himself and keep constantly doing different things. But I would be lying if I just wasn't over the moon last night to see, like, yeah, how about it now? Like, but this was coming. Like, so, I think Kenny's like, had a lot to kind of, deal with, like coming to America, adjusting to, to that, and he's figuring it out fine. He'll be on top pretty soon. Not worried.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. Jeremy, what did you think when you were watching this?
Dude, I absolutely love this match. It was incredible. I've been watching Kenny Omega for a while now, and covering New Japan on Keeping It Strong Style. Kenny quickly became my favorite wrestler, and just all the G1 matches, the Okada matches, this guy was just on fire, quickly became my favorite wrestler. I love his in-ring style, and obviously kind of, becoming an executive VP of AEW and kind of taking a step back and not want to put, a light on himself right away. We weren't getting that New Japan Kenny, that G1 main event star, but that changed last night. We got some fresh new gear that looked awesome, and it was back to G1 Kenny last night with him and Pac, and they took a lot of risks. It was hard-hitting, fast-paced, innovative. Like, these guys went out there and killed it on TV. Not even a pay-per-view. This was a TV match. They're doing Falcon arrows off the apron, super brain busters, V-triggers left and right. This was an incredible matchup.
Yeah, from in the building, I can tell you 30 minutes, no one sat down. I was in. We were in the fourth row, and me and Tiffany were. These kids were in front of us, and I will tell you, hey, if you're taking your kids to a wrestling show and you can't get the first row, you probably want to be in the 100 section, because those kids didn't see shit.
Better grow, get tall.
I mean, there was 2 6'2" dudes right in front of them. I'm pretty tall, so I could see it. They couldn't. One kid just laid down. He was just like, I can't see. I can't see. But seriously, one of the best matches I've seen live, like, ever. I was emotionally invested the whole time. I was like, the moment they announced it, I was like, this is going to be, in my head, I was like, this is going to be 5 stars. I called it, and then it was everything I wanted, and then more. I just complete emotional investment in the match. Everybody's looking around about halfway through thinking Hangman's going to come out, and they didn't do it. The Bucks didn't really interfere at all, so it was just 2 men that are masters at what they do, just beating the shit out of each other. And there was no, moments, there was no botches. I hate, it wasn't like nothing that took you out of the match. And that's just, it was just a master class in wrestling. It was a master class in American televised wrestling, when people say you cannot put on 5 stars with the way we do TV. You're lying. It's not, you don't know what you're talking about. You just don't know how to do it. And they do.
Yeah. And we talked about Kenny a lot, but I want to give Pac some credit too, to just look that much of a killer in there for that long, and to come from where he came from, where he was at 3 years ago, to completely rebuild himself to, not only go in there and hang with Kenny, but like be his equal. The first like half of the match was just like them, lightning fast, everything you want. And then, he got so pissed, he grabbed a chair, and it was like, they kept like just escalating the level they were working at. And, I was happy to see the one-wing angel, because, when you see that, it's over.
It's a wrap.
Yeah.
Yep.
The only other thing I'll say, when is the last time you have had a wrestler that it is this good at in-ring work that is able to actually still get booed? Usually when you're this good as Pac is, fans are going to cheer you just because of how talented you are. The fact that he's able to stay in character and still get heat while still being a fantastic wrestler, it's just kind of unheard of now. It's
crazy watching him. He hits so hard. Like, when I remember the feeling of watching this match, there were so many times where I was shrieking or just gasping because he like kicked Kenny right in the jaw, slammed him down right on the apron, or on the floor. Like, it was insane how hard that he was hitting Kenny. And so many people were just thrilled when Pac was announced for All Elite Wrestling. And I wasn't really familiar with him. I wasn't really familiar with Neville. But this is why everybody was excited. And I think that for the people who are seeing Kenny Omega kind of for the first time in this sort of situation, maybe they're also saying this is why people were so excited, because this match was what dreams are made of when you sit here and you think about the most thrilling, electrifying, jaw-dropping wrestling that just kind of leaves your mind blown when it's done. And also the build-up to this. Pac's promos have just been absolutely awesome. He has really sold me as being this terrifying monster guy, and I can't wait to see him and Kenny go again, or to see who Pac is going to be taking on next. Like, this dude is insane. Super cool.
A 5'8" monster heel.
5'8"! Oh my God, Parker is going to murder Hawk him. God, he's so.
And with the Iron Man match type, I know there are some people out there who don't like Iron Man matches and think that you can't really have a good Iron Man match. I disagree. I love the Iron Man match format. And I think when done correctly, it could be a great match, like we saw here on Dynamite. I mean, the pace never slowed down. They maximized the minutes that they had, all 30 plus the overtime. Like you mentioned, Floyd, the crowd was into it the whole time. There was tons of drama between the DQ and the near count out with Matt helping Kenny get in, and the action was just so compelling. Like, this could have easily been the main event of Revolution, and we got it as the opening match on TV.
Yeah.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, it's like basically to use a WWE, a takeover level pay-per-view main event was the first match of Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
That's just insane.
Yeah.
On weekly television.
Yeah.
For, just, here you go. That's nuts. Yeah. Let's talk about the next match. We had the Inner Circle with Jurassic Express. And this was crazy because, we had the Inner Circle, or not the Inner Circle, sorry. We had Santana and Ortiz and Sammy Guevara and Jurassic Express. And this was neat because, Santana and Ortiz are an amazing tag team by themselves, but we also get to see some improvement and really just solidarity with Jurassic Express. We've come a long way since this dinosaur guy debuted at Double or Nothing, and then became a boy and his dinosaur, and then became a boy and his dinosaur, and now Jurassic Express. And now they're this awesome tag team where every single person has their role. We've got the giant guy, we've got the middle flyer, we've got the tiny Spirit of Heart who's also fearless, but they've also got some really great trios moves in solidarity. This was a really cool match because we got to see sort of the evolution of Jurassic Express take shape into, I think, its final form. What did you guys think?
Jeremy, you want to go?
Yeah, go. Yeah, I love this match. It was a quick 10-minute sprint. Like you mentioned, we really haven't seen much of Santana and Ortiz teaming with Sammy. So it was great to see like the instant chemistry that those three guys had together and a lot of stuff they were pulling off. And then, like you mentioned, Jurassic Express has kind of been this journey of these three guys gelling together. I mean, Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy have been teaming on the indies, but then adding in, Marco Stunt was kind of a new element, and how quickly all three of those guys have gelled over their run in AEW has been fun to watch as well. And just seeing this quick, fast pace, we call Rich Latta pro wrestling with, high flying, hard strikes. It was a really fun match.
Yeah, man. Like, so when I was like watching this match, like I was still kind of like riding the high of Pac versus Kenny, and then them setting up Orange Cassidy, checking Twitter, like, getting in arguments with Stat Guy Greg, just normal things I do on Twitter. But, so this match was going on, and then, you're looking up, and I'm, looking up every so often, like every, 15 seconds or so. I'm like, this is getting really good. And then I notice who's in there kind of, and it's like, yeah, Sammy G and PNP, this trio is real. I can't wait for the AEW trios belts whenever they happen one day. But yeah, it was just like really fast, and I love every guy in this match for whatever their role is. Like Margo Stunt, perfect pin eater. Luchasaurus, flip monster. Jungle Boy, young guy with potential. Sammy, I think he's a damn near the complete package. And then PNP is just like they're right up my alley. Like. So yeah, this is awesome too.
Yeah, Marco's the perfect person to build heat for the other team with, because no matter what, it's the bigger guy picking on the little guy, and he gets beat pretty well, and then he gets his hope spots later, and everybody gets excited for it. Jeremy's heard me say this. I hate six-man tags. I used to. Keepin It Strong Style, of course, I listened to, and I'd always say, well, I just skip past the multi-man matches at the beginning and got to the good shit. At AEW, it's they do enough to keep me interested in six-man matches, and the people that are tagging together make sense, and it's just not this, it is kind of a formula. It is a really big formula. It's, as Rich would say, they just do cool moves. They do cool shit, and it keeps me excited when I otherwise, on these type of matches, I have traditionally checked out. It was fun. We finally got a couple people to sit down, and so the kids kind of got to see this match, and they were, Marco's their side, so they were really excited when he hit his big moves, and then, then everybody stood up because the match got exciting again, so they went back to sleep. But it was a great match. It was very fun.
Do you guys make anything of Jungle Boy ending up getting the pin on Sammy? Is that something you think we might be looking forward to in the future?
I hope so.
I think they're building Jungle Boy for a TV match against Chris Jericho. I really do. I think
in the future,
yeah. So I don't think he's, we're about to get that, gap between this show and Double or Nothing. So we're gonna need some stuff to watch, and I think that's gonna be a match that we're gonna get.
Putting it out there, they drop these gems. You just gotta pay attention, and they'll be there.
Yeah, well, I mean, and in this match, we had two future stars. We had Darby Allin running out to build up his match with Sammy Guevara. We had Jungle Boy getting the pin there, and like those two men are going to be up in the stratosphere of the AEW echelon in a year. Maybe two max. Like these dudes are going to be the future stars of AEW. And it's neat to see them running out like that. And it's so sad that everybody stood up at the end, because I know the kids would have loved, they just saw Marco Stunt, and then the other kid favorite, Darby Allin, comes out. But,
Yeah. Oh, man. Cody better watch his back, because Darby's pops are crazy. I mean, Cody's the top face, but I think Darby is moving quicker than anyone has even thought that was going to happen. I mean, he came out twice, and it was just, he's so over. It was like, the Darby chants, and oh my God, yeah. It's going to be one of those times, I think, like Luchasaurus, he's getting over faster than they think, so they're going to have to make a decision pretty soon.
The nice thing, though, is it seems like they capitalize on that. Like, Luchasaurus got over either at or after Double or Nothing. Like, everyone was just like, oh, my God, there's a wrestling dinosaur, and he's amazing. At least that was my perspective. And then, Darby Allin, he is just like, wow, everybody loves him, and Jungle Boy. And so, these people, it seems like, at least by AEW's actions, that they are reacting to the long-term organic growth of these new talents and how they're rising with the crowd and how the crowd responds to them and pushing them, or building them rather, accordingly.
Yeah, and it's been great just seeing the rise of Darby. Rich and I, we have a local promotion here in Florida called Full Impact Pro, which is part of the WWN system. And we've seen Darby for years now wrestling in bars here in Ybor City and jumping off the bars and coughing, dropping all over the place. So it's just great, like, seeing him come from like this humble beginning of, wrestling in front of like 100 people in a bar to now being on national television in front of thousands and thousands of people. And he's such an enigma, such a star. And yeah, he's going to be the future of this company. And it's just great to see the reactions he's getting and how he's getting over. And one last thing about this match for me, I really love the fact that Jurassic Express got the win here, just because they've kind of been a unit longer than, Sammy and Proud and Powerful. And so I think it makes a lot of sense that the team that's been teaming longer should get the win, even though technically you might say Inner Circle are probably the bigger stars right now. I think that was a good move to have Jurassic Express get the win over them.
Again, we've got, subtle parts of booking that just make sense. And you're like, yes, this is logical. That's a great point. Let's take a look at the next tag match. We had the Butcher and the Blade with the Bunny, as well as the Best Friends with Orange Cassidy. Now, this was tricky for me because I was still able to get keyed in to the Jurassic Express match, because as soon as their music hit, I'm like, okay, great, we're in it. But I was so energized from Pac and Omega and the Jurassic Express Inner Circle match that this was kind of the down point of the energy wave. It wasn't necessarily a bad thing. There's a natural flow of energy when you're watching the show. You have your high points and then you kind of got to catch a breath. And this was my kind of catch a breath. It was a good match. My favorite part, though, honestly, was Orange Cassidy and the Bunny. Like, it was so ridiculous. I love watching the Best Friends. Watching them in New Japan as a tag team, they were great. They seemed to be wanting to focus on Trent Beretta as a single star there. And then when he came to AEW, it seemed like maybe they were going to do that same thing. And I hadn't really gotten to know him well enough to really get behind him or really become a super fan or anything like that. But I'm really digging them. I love their personality. I love their moves. Love the names of their moves. And of course, I think Orange Cassidy is the glue that kind of sticks them all together to make this team kind of a fan favorite.
Yeah, I think Orange Cassidy is the key here. For me, like I've always known that the Best Friends are good wrestlers. They just happen to always get in the ring with another team that's just like, they're fighting the Lucha Brothers or the Young Bucks, and it's always kind of like Best Friends versus the other guys, and the Best Friends are the guys that the other guys wrestle, like, kind of. But you brought up a good point about Orange Cassidy. Putting them in there with Butcher and the Blade, though, allows the Best Friends to kind of step into that starring role, because since the Butcher and the Blade have come in, they've kind of been getting beat like a drum from everyone. But, I still kind of, I like the Butcher, as a big brute character here. So, nice little TV match. I would say Amy's probably put it in as nice terms as you can. Like, the way you had to come down, kind of checking this match out compared to the two before it.
Yeah. For me, it's Orange Cassidy and the guys. I mean,
OC in the gang.
Yeah, I'm like, I love them, but like when Orange Cassidy kind of got attacked by Pac later, I thought there was a chance he wasn't come out, and I kind of just lost complete interest in this match and all of that. And then like my biggest pop is when they come out, and then Orange Cassidy is like, limping out there, fixing his jaw. And I'm like, oh, he did come out, because that's the best part of this match. And like, I'm not saying the match, it was funny. It was just like when you're in the crowd, and Kansas City was amazing. Like it almost becomes a standard, like you don't want to be the bad crowd for AEW, So it's like Kansas City came up and they came to celebrate and they came excited. But in this match, everybody's like, no one really cared. You don't hate the Butcher and the Blade enough to super cheer for the best friends. You get what I mean when I say that? They're not strong enough heels yet to where people will cheer whoever they're facing. And, that's what it is. I mean, I guess it's about as negative as I can get. It was just there. The match was just there.
Yeah, I mean, it was your Gentleman's 3 match. I mean, it was a fine little, 8-minute, 3-star TV match. And to your point, Floyd, Butcher and the Blade, they don't really have much heat on them right now. I mean, I think they've only won one match so far on TV, and they've been taking a lot of L's. So not really that intimidating of a team right now. And there wasn't really a lot of build going into this match. I mean, yes, some of the interactions from the Tag Team Battle Royal the previous week kind of set this match up, but again, it wasn't that heated rivalry. There wasn't a lot of stakes on the line here. There was no preview of a pay-per-view match, Revolution. So it's just kind of there. Yeah, it was fine. Both of these teams are good, but it was just a good match. It was what it should have been, and the right team went over.
Yeah, it was there to announce Orange Cassidy versus Pac.
Yes, and he's gonna try.
Crazy.
He's gonna try.
Yeah,
I lost it when he said that.
Yes, and then you called that get the chant, and he's gonna try, and then Trent Beretta's trying to walk it back. We don't know that. That was their comedic timing is amazing. It was so great because Trent's the straight man, and and then Orange Cassidy is just does the half thumbs up. I don't know what was on TV, but did you see the stuff with Tony Schiavone?
Yes,
I did.
Yes, yeah. They did the 4-way hug with Schiavone. That was probably one of the biggest pops of the night. Everybody was yes, that was pretty amazing.
Well, and Orange Cassidy anointed Tony Schiavone with his glasses. That was so good.
Yeah, and then Schiavone did the thumbs up.
Yep.
His thumb was all the way up, though. I was like, no, you got to get it halfway down there,
He was just too excited. He's a big dork. It's okay.
This is why Tony Schiavone exists right now. Yes. We just got to put him in every single situation.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That and air dancing with Dasha Fuentes on Dark.
I love how Britt has bullied him so bad that he only says positive things about her.
That's okay. We could get his back on Twitter. Let's move on to the next match because this is when it started picking right back up, and this match was so fun. We had the women's 4-way. We had Big Swole versus Hikaru Shida and Shauna and Yuka Sakazaki. Now, Floyd, I don't think you caught this because you were in the crowd unless you happened to watch afterwards, but there was a hilarious moment on commentary where Jim Ross is trying to figure out why Yuka is called the magical girl. And they respond with, oh, it's an anime thing. And he's like, well, what does that mean? And then Excalibur says, all right, I'm going to explain anime to you. And then they try to explain anime to Jim Ross, but they got to wrap it up in a way where, they could get the match going. It was adorable. And it was perfect because Yuka Sakazaki is doing her charming thing where she's smiling, she's waving, she's crying in the corner because Big Swole hurt her feelings. It was just great.
This is way better than kind of how he addressed the Statlander thing last week, which sent me up a wall last week on One Nation Radio. I was like, if you're going to, ask, you have to try to put the characters over, not bury them. Yeah. So, but, I thought this was as Amy said, I thought it was funny.
Jim Ross is doing what AEW does. I did not hear this, but he is doing what AEW does. When someone says they don't like something, they either get rid of it or they lean all the way in. He is leaning into old white guy. It's really, really, really hard. I don't understand anything you're talking about. That's stupid. They didn't do it my way, that way in the 80s, so I hate it. He is just leaning in. And I love it because it's just a big middle finger to anyone that doesn't like Jim Ross. It's I'm gonna hate on everything you like now. I get it.
To be fair, he was endearing towards the end. He didn't dismiss it like he did the Chris Statlander thing where he was just like, oh, okay, well, I don't get it. He was like, oh, okay. And then just went right into it. So he was better with it. He still asked it. And I think that we should now weekly maybe get a somebody explains to Jim Ross sort of segment on commentary.
Something new. I'm like, dude, pretend like you're talking to Vince. Explain like this stuff exists. I know you don't think it does, but it does. It's cool. Yes.
Well,
they got to get Jim Ross back on BTE for some of this. Like,
really,
like, because Ross can just be this guy that just has no idea what's going on. I think if he can slip into that role, it'll be hilarious.
Yes.
Oh my God. Especially if they had, Chris Statlander and the Orange Cassidy thing, where they're like booping each other and he just
what the hell was that?
pan over to Jim Ross and he's just glaring at them.
Yes, we definitely need some Chris Statlander and Jim Ross interactions in our life.
Yes. That's hilarious.
All right, so this match was a lot of fun. They basically sort of started out like an anime. They were kind of acting like cartoon characters because you've got the magical girl, you've got Dragon Ball Z lady, you've got Big Swole sassing it up. This was just a lot of fun. But then halfway through, it sort of changed pace from the fun parts to being really intense, where they're really getting in their spots. We've got Big Swole out there. I love her. She just kicking ass. I love her so much. But I think that we got the outcome that everyone has been clamoring for a long time, which is Shida getting the win. And we've got Shida going on a push. And I think we're probably going to end up seeing her in the title picture after Revolution. What were your guys' thoughts on this?
Yeah, I thought this was a good match, and they made the most of the time they had about 9 minutes, and they did a lot here in this match to try and get all four of these ladies over. I was a little bit surprised that Shida won. I mean, clearly she's been one of the top girls they've been pushing since the promotion started, but last week they had the whole angle where Swole came out as a part of the Statlander-Nyla interaction there, so I thought maybe that they're trying to get Swole over. I was thinking maybe Swole was going to get the win here.
Yeah, I saw Shida get the win. I was just trying to break it down. Jeremy mentioned Swole coming out last week. That was kind of just I think a bad part of quality control. Just hey, just know where you're going, and if you're not, just figure that out. But Shanna just got a loss last week, so you don't want to beat her again. Yuka Sakazaki, she's the Tokyo Joshi Pro champion. She's not losing. So Shida over Swole was kind of the only real result you could think here. It was cool to see Yuka Sakazaki actually get her entrance song, so all the Joshi fans could just celebrate and not just be furious on my timeline for 4 or 5 minutes. Exactly.
Yeah.
All caps. AY.
Yeah, and I thought there were a couple moments where they were kind of pausing and trying to feel each other out in the beginning, but as Amy said, by the end of the match, it picked up, and I'm always looking at the AEW women's division, it has tons of potential. There's wrestlers up and down the division that I enjoy and would watch and would take on in my promotion any day of the week. So it's, the more spotlight it gets, I think the better they're going to do.
Yeah, the thing with this is it was 4 faces. So literally everybody got a huge pop when they came out. Swole's music hits, and it's funny. You see people, you can imagine the people I'm talking about trying to dance to her music. It was hilarious. I people watching wrestling. It was funny.
This is how you know as a black wrestler that you're over, is when the white people are bouncing along to the songs with you.
Yes.
There's this famous kind of thing of when Booker T was in WCW, you would have white people raising the roof over and over, just in every entrance, and you just knew that Book was good from then on.
So yeah, everyone's doing the flex thing. It was great. Big Swole fan, and it was just the match was really exciting. Because literally, you didn't know what they were going to do. You had Swole come out last week, so it was they could be pushing her. Yuka Sakazaki won her last match against Britt Baker. They could be pushing her. It was really the only person that actually came into this match not really hot was Shanna. So it was kind of felt like she wasn't going to win, but it was like the match was exciting. Her wearing her Dragon Ball Z gimmick is getting her over. Like, like people in the crowd are just all about that. They don't need to know anything about it. They see the Dragon Ball Z clothes, and they're like, okay, we love her. So it was a very exciting match in that way, and it was like you're just trying to see who was going to win. And then when Sheeta got the win, it was like, oh, okay, cool. That's what they're going to do. Rich, when I was listening to your show and you were talking about the Swole thing, I think Swole was just like, okay, you had the champion and kind of the number one contender, and Swole was just like, hey, I'm here too. It wasn't like I'm a contender. It was just like reminding them that, Big Swole is there. And so that's how I took it. But I did see your point when you were talking about it. But I thought it was a good match, and the crowd was not into it at the beginning. They, everybody got the pop, but as they were filling each other out, it was like the crowd was moving along with them. And as the match built and became more of a fight towards the end, the crowd got more into the match.
Yeah, I want to see Big Swole in a number one contender position, though, like soon. If she comes out there and she's like, yeah, I'm a number one contender, I'm like, hell yeah, you get that, girl. Because, like, you absolutely should be there. I know there's a line, and that's fine. I'm happy to wait in line. But, like, dude, she is all sass, all character. She's got great strikes, great kicks. She's a lot of fun to watch. She does a lot of fun to watch, too. So maybe we'll end up seeing the two of them, since they've had a lot of history together on Dark and now on Dynamite. Maybe we might see the two of them mixing it up in a title position.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
All right, so last up, we have the weigh-in. So we got Moxley coming out. Actually, no, first, we have on commercial, we have models walking out. And Jim Ross is like, holy shit, what's that? On commentary, which was freaking hilarious. So we've got models walking out of the ring. The ring has red carpet. We've got a scale. And we have WCW commentator Gary Capetta presiding over the proceedings. And then we get Moxley coming out. Everyone's freaking out, excited. And we have the Inner Circle accompanying Chris Jericho in matching tracksuits. And so they come out to the ring. We get Moxley weighing in at 234 pounds. We get Jericho stalling. He's not necessarily going to weigh in. And he ends up insulting Mr. Capetta about WCW, which got a lot of boos. And he never quite weighed himself. I was wondering if maybe this would be because he weighs more than Moxley, and then like maybe a chant of bubbly would break out in the crowd. I'm not quite sure why he didn't weigh himself. Oh. I saw something online, though, where somebody speculated that if he didn't weigh in, does the match officially count? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I looked at Tiffany, like, as soon as he came out. I was like, he's never weighing. I was like, he's not getting on that scale. I mean, that was called. I was like, they came out with the whole Cobra Kai thing in the gym, in the jumpsuits, like straight, middle finger to Cody and the Nightmare Family was awesome. I just thought all of it was hilarious, but I was like, he's not getting on that scale. And then when he started delaying, I was like, yeah, he's not weighing. I was like, it doesn't it's an overweight division. I don't understand why they were doing a weigh-in. I don't get that from the first place. I'm like, because Darby Allin weighs 180 pounds maybe. I'm like, are you serious? And like, no, there's no weigh-in. So I was like, this is complete comedy sketch, and it hit better than I thought it was. I thought I was going to eye roll a lot of stuff, and I actually really did laugh at a lot of things.
For me, it was like their play on like UFC weigh-in, or when the whole team walks in with the ladder, like they're all holding each other's shoulders, and I do. Someone else did bring up. That's just a ceremonial weigh-in. There had to be an official weigh-in backstage ahead of time. So someone has the weight, but we'll never know. It was funny. Mox's weight was Bret Hart's build weight for most of his career at 234 pounds. I look at Mox and I tend to not believe 234 though.
Yeah,
he is a tall guy.
Yeah, he weighs as much as Nick Aldis did at the All In weigh-in.
Yeah, something ain't right.
Yeah,
Something ain't right.
Nick Aldis, I even said, I was like, man, he carries that weight well because he does not look, that big to me.
Yeah, that scale's a little bit off. Yeah.
You told me Tony Khan is fixing this stuff?
Yeah. So, like you saying,
at that
this
point,
ain't legit.
Jericho should just step on the scale then, and then it'll be like, you weigh the same exact weight.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, I look at Nick Aldis and I look at John Moxley, and I feel like there's a weight difference there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't
Just a little bit.
I think part of why Jericho didn't step on, there's the whole fat shaming of Jericho online sometimes because he's not 99 Jericho anymore, and people don't realize he's older now and it's hard for him to keep in that great shape, but people expect him to walk out like it's 99, and so I'm sure they didn't want to put the weight out there. Obviously, it's gonna be more than his previous weights in the past, and people would probably try and dunk on him. So
I'm not
look. I would have liked if they put out like some absurd weight where we know it's not true or something like that, and that impetus for the brawl. And Moxley, that's ridiculous. Like there's no way Jericho's 205 pounds or like something like that.
They should have had like Sammy or like Hager do be in charge of like the numbers on the scale.
Right.
Yeah.
Be like, he is
pushing him out of the way.
6 pounds. Like what?
Oh man.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm not gonna get sued for libel, but your favorite wrestler that's 48 and still looks like he did at his 30 is on special supplements. I'm just telling you.
Probably.
I'm like, that's not how you age. I'm just letting you know. That's just not how it works.
All right, so Jericho refuses to step on the scale, and Moxley gets annoyed. He headbutts him, breaking a bottle of champagne. We got a cut on Jericho's forehead. We get Dustin Rhodes running out. He starts attacking Hager, and then we have Darby Allin coming out for Sammy Guevara. So we basically end the show with a huge brawl that leads up to Revolution. And we get Dustin and Hager out in the back, and we get Jim Ross going, "Oh, God, no, not the Dippin' Dots. Oh, my God, save the Dippin' Dots."
Yeah, he was trolling us all.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so great. So, we end the show with a great brawl. We start the show with a great brawl. I don't know, man. This whole show was just awesome.
Now, I have a question for you guys on this last segment. So, one point that got brought up in one of our group chats, one of our buddies, he didn't like the fact that Darby's music and Dustin's music hit as they were running down. He said it felt too much like WWE. He wanted them just to run down, no music. Well, how do you guys feel about that?
Especially with Darby, they didn't need the music. People were chanting Darby. That was the music. They didn't need the music. All Darby had to do was run. Everyone was saying his name already. But Dustin, okay, I could see it. But Darby, he didn't need it.
Yeah, I mean, I could just see them running out without it. I hadn't really given it thought. Like, it wasn't necessarily something that stood out or bothered me or, like, took me away from the moment. But they totally could have just had them run out, and that would be fine, too.
Hey, man, I'm just glad they came out and immediately ran to the ring.
Right, they didn't do their pose on the ramp first.
Correct.
For the save. Like, hold on, I got to, taunt with my skateboard first before I come down and save.
Yes. I got to cross my arms and I got to do my big stomp before. No. This is ridiculous. I'm just like, I love that. Like, they ran down like they were coming for a fight, and they needed some sense of urgency. I love that part.
Oh, man, me too. All right, well, let's rapid fire our favorite and least favorite moments from the show. So, Jeremy, let's start with you. Let's hear your favorite part and your least favorite part of Dynamite this week.
All right, so for me, my favorite part would easily, hands down, have to be the Iron Man match. You just heard us, glow about it at the beginning of this show, how awesome it was, and just seeing, Kenny in Prime again and seeing Pac and seeing what he can do and hang with Kenny. That was my favorite part. I was, jumping around the dojo watching that match. And then my least favorite part of the show would have to be the Butcher and the Blade versus the Best Friends, just because, I didn't hate it, but it was just kind of there. It was fine. There was not a lot of heat going into it. Like the show, they could have not done that match, and the show would have still been great. So,
fair enough. Rich, what were your favorite and least favorite moments from the show?
Yeah, I would definitely have to say the first segment of the Kenny Omega and Pac match from the beginning to about 15 minutes or so. If you're just watching for wrestling execution and electric pace, it doesn't really get much better than that. That's like the last level of mastery. If this was like Kung Fu or something like that's those guys are masters right there. I would probably say my least favorite part of it was also I liked Lexi Nair trying to talk to Jake Hager, but Jake Hager just staring at her. I would probably say the least favorite would be the Dark Order promos. I'm just, I'm like just ready for the Exalted One to show up so we can get like the next, beat of this thing going. But I will say the Dark Order is still interesting. And if you think about it, they showed up at Double or Nothing and people are like, it's only getting like, it is a regular part of AEW now. Like it's not going anywhere and it's some long-term thing that they're doing. So I just hope they deliver it on it and, but I'd probably say that this week, the Dark Order stuff.
Fair enough, man. Floyd, what about you? What you got?
My favorite part of the show, I'm going to be different. I mean, obviously, it would probably be Kenny and, Pac. But I'm going to pivot a little bit and say the announcement of Lance Archer as a member of the AEW roster.
Yes, sir.
And that he's debuting next week. The Murder Hawk, he's one of those guys that you've seen, he kind of faded away into obscurity, and then you've seen his slow build, and then last year in New Japan, all the amazing matches that he put on, and that he showed that he still had it, and it was like when it was time to sign, I had my fingers and toes crossed that, he made the elite choice, and he did, so I am very happy for that. My least favorite part of the show, again, I just don't want to say, I don't want to say the same thing, so I'm going to take a cop-out. When the show ended, that was my least favorite because I have to wait another week. I have to wait another week for Dynamite again. So there you go.
But hey, dude, we got Saturday Revolution, so we don't even have to wait that long.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to not even try to be different. So my favorite part was the beginning. The Iron Man match was amazing. I loved every second of it. The Best Friends and the Butcher and the Blade, that was a match. It happened. Orange Cassidy was awesome. Orange and Tony Schiavone was awesome. Orange and the Bunny was awesome. I wish he would have kicked her. That's all I got to say. All right, so before we wrap up Dynamite, Floyd, you were there, and as you said earlier, you are Floyd's friend Tiffany, and Tiffany had an incredible moment on Dynamite. Tell us what happened, man.
Okay. All right. So first, I'm gonna say, go to at All Elite Tiffany to watch the video, and Heart of the Elite. But we're sitting there together. We're sitting there together doing the dark and doing dark. Main event or the last match was Brandon Cutler and Sean Spears versus Private Party. During the match, Isaiah Cassidy just kind of waves over and says, "Hi, Tiffany." And I look at Tiffany. I'm like, "Do you know Isaiah Cassidy?" She's like, "No, I've never taken a picture with him or anything." And then I was like, "Okay." I'm like, "You're more famous than I thought." And then she was like, "Well, I just kind of want to go get up towards the post, so when Cody comes out after the show, we can get a selfie together." It wasn't that big a deal. So the security Sam says, "Hey, come stand right here." And then he talks to the back. He's like, "Yeah, Cody's coming out. Just stand right here. You're cool." And I'm like, so didn't think any of it. I'm telling you, I did not see this coming. I'm just kind of building it up for you. And then, so Cody comes out, they do the T-shirt toss, they do everything, and they said, "Well, we want to have one more match, and we want a special member, we want to get somebody from the audience to come in." And everybody's yelling, and I'm yelling Tiffany. I'm like, "Tiffany," that kind of thing. And then there's this other guy that came up to her earlier. He's kind of yelling it too. And then Cody starts doing the announcement, And as soon as he starts doing the announcement, as soon as he says AEW superfan that has been to 800 shows, we knew who it was. And it was like I didn't have my phone out first, so I immediately fumble and start pulling out my phone to record it. And like if like on my video, as soon as the recording starts, all you hear is it's happening, because like I'm like, wow, this is going on. And they give her this amazing entrance. He shouts out her YouTube channel, Heart of the Elite, brings Tiffany into the ring, and she's going to have a match against Brandon Cutler. And, man, so they do it like the boxing where she gets this big announcement. They said, you know, and they called her the heart and soul of All Elite Wrestling.
Aww.
From Kansas City, Tiffany, and he even said her name, Castagna, said her name. I was like, oh, I didn't even know how to pronounce it, you know, for a long time. Yeah, so you know it was planned because he knew how to pronounce her name. I was like, you know, like it wasn't. So it was great. Brandy stuns Brandon Cutler. Tiffany pins him, and they celebrate in the ring. She gets like a group picture with the Nightmare family. It was like I could not be happier for someone else ever, because it was just like that was everything to her. I know everybody follows. She tweets incessantly. I mean, she gets a lot of shit for how big of a fan and how much she supports everything. Like I don't use this word a lot because I think you kind of get what you get. A lot of things aren't deserved. She deserved it, and I was very happy. I don't get tears of joy. I don't. It's not something I ever did. Probably the closest that's ever come to me. I started misting up a little bit because it was her moment. It was like she was famous before. Like before the show, everybody was like, "Are you All Elite Tiffany?" They taking pictures and autographs. After the show, she was a fucking rock star. I mean, she might as well be on the roster now. I mean, that's how it was.
Dude, she made her debut. Yeah. She's undefeated.
Yes.
She's All Elite.
Yes. Dude, I would never ask for more, but if she could be 5 on the rankings next week, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I had got word that they pulled her in the ring before you told me, because we had another buddy in the building there, and I was really happy for Tiffany because you see, she's always, you know, front and center out from day one, and you know we all love AEW, but I think you add us all up, you get Tiffany. So
absolutely, man, Tiffany is such a sweetheart, and it was so cool to hear the whole crowd chanting Tiffany, Tiffany. Like, that is just amazing. This is something she'll remember forever. It was so wonderful to see, and I'm so happy that she got to have that. And I mean, on a small note, that's our girl from our podcast, All Things Elite, yo.
Yes, yes.
There.
Yes, it's crazy.
It was awesome day to have a representative of Social Suplex in the ring there. Social Suplex is 1-0 in AEW. we are undefeated. We are better than the Inner Circle, Jurassic Express, any of those Dark Order. We are winners.
No one from your favorite podcast channel is undefeated in AEW. I'm just saying.
There you go. That we got a call to fame there, right? All right. Well,
Tiffany.
Man, congratulations to Tiffany. That was amazing. Let's take a look at Revolution, because we've got that this Saturday. We don't have to wait a whole week for another AEW show. So I'm going to run through the card real quick, and then if you guys want to talk about something you're looking forward to, that would be awesome. So we've got the buy-in was just announced, SCU versus the Dark Order. We've got for the show, Pac versus Orange Cassidy, Sammy G versus Darby Allin, Nyla Rose versus Chris Statlander, Jake Hager versus Dustin Rhodes. And then we've got the tag team match with Kenny Omega and Hangman Page versus the Young Bucks for the tag team titles, MJF versus Cody, and Jericho versus Moxley for the championship. I almost said IWGP for the AEW World Championship. Man, this is a freaking card, guys. Oh my God.
Well,
just a great build.
Yeah, do y'all think Exalted One gets debuts. It's the big, to me, the overlying question everybody's wondering. I mean, every individual match is great, but do you think the Exalted One debuts on the show?
I don't.
Depends on who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, this is something that they've been pushing for a big time, and it's on the pre-show, and I know, AEW does treat their pre-show better than other companies, but at the same time, if it's going to be, debuting a new star, or even if it's somebody like a Matt Hardy, I feel like that's something you want on the pay-per-view and not on the buy-in. So I think maybe Dark Order gets a win here, and there's a big tease, and maybe they do it on Dynamite next week or something.
Or even push it out to the 1 year anniversary of or add Double or Nothing 2. When the Dark Order first showed up, a year later, the Exalted One finally reveals themselves.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they did it on Dynamite, though, and if it were Matt Hardy, please be Matt Hardy. That would be a pretty big boon, I think, to their ratings, too. I mean, not like they're struggling in that regard because they've hit a really good stride with their ratings. But, if you've got something like that ends up debuting after, March 1st on the weekly show, and then you also just have Lance Archer debuting, too, that could be pretty sweet for the weekly show on Dynamite.
Yeah.
I figured, I even said the craziest thing last night is, why can't it still be Marty? That's all I kept asking. I kept asking. I was like, why can't it still be him? Every person that has negotiating power has made it where they can work anywhere they want.
This is true.
He had all the power in ROH.
And they just did name drop Ring of Honor when they called Hangman Page and told him you were just a jobber for Ring of Honor.
This is true.
Yeah.
I'm like I say, I'm not.
And they have Jeff Cobb.
I'm not guessing because I will say this, and I'm very big on this. I am happy that I don't know because with the wrestling world the way it is, Meltzer usually has a guess. A Fightful Select will say, "Well, you want to know who the leader of the Exalted One is?" No one knows. No one's guessing. That. And I just, I love the speculation of it, but it's fun that when this comes out, no matter who it is, no one knows.
I love that it's protected like that because Moxley was really protected too. We all had no idea he was going to, there were rumors that maybe he would, but I still thought it was a work and he was going back to WWE because I've never seen WWE send anybody off like that before. I was like, oh yeah, he'll be back there. So I love that it's protected and that they're throwing so many red herrings out there. It could be Christopher Daniels. It could be maybe Matt Hardy. It could be, who's the other person? Brandon Cutler's obviously probably in it.
Could be Raven.
Raven was sitting ringside.
Yeah.
That's right. And he did the audio too, I think. For one of the things.
There's a lot of potential, and all those guys are big enough stars to where I think it would either be on the pay-per-view or on Dynamite to pop a rating, especially if it's Marty. If it's Marty, that's a huge kind of deal there. Obviously, being a former member of the Elite and being kind of off the scene from these guys for a while, that's a pretty big deal. So I think they would want to do that on pay-per-view or on TV, but I don't think it's Marty just based off some of the stuff he's doing right now. He's kind of feuding with Nick Aldis and NWA, and he's doing Villain Enterprises and Ring of Honor with Flip and Brody King and PCO. So there's a lot of stuff going on for him right now. I'm not sure if him being the leader of the Dark Order makes sense of everything else that's going on.
Watch it be Flip Gordon who still has it out for Cody.
They should have booked Flip, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, what do you guys think about Pac versus Orange Cassidy? Do you think he's going to try? Do you think he's going to go out there and just kind of kick him a little bit with those super devastating kicks that are oh my God? How do you think it's going to go?
I think Pac should be he should take caution, really. He should wear an extra pair of kick pads for when Cassidy attacks. Yeah, when he attacks his shins, he should, be on the lookout because what if Orange Cassidy decides to shoot? What if he decides to finish?
Oh my God, can he come out in bully attire?
Well, yeah, go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, I haven't seen a ton of Orange Cassidy outside of AEW. I did see him live. Me, Rich, Floyd, we saw him at WrestleCon Super Show last year in New York. That 6-man tag, I believe it was. But I haven't seen a lot of him in a singles action. I've seen clips from PWG and like bar wrestling, and it kind of seems to be the whole kind of formula where he starts off doing the shtick and the light kicks, but then his glasses gets knocked off and he kind of goes into serious mode. He tries, and when he tries, he's pretty good and does some cool stuff. So I think we might get a similar layout here. I think he's going to start off, trying to do the kicks to Pac, and Pac is not going to have any of it. Give him like a boot, knock the glasses off, and then from there he's going to turn it up. And I think they're going to have a really good match and surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, I want to see Pac try to put those glasses back on him. Just be like, no, stop, go back. All right. Well, before we close out the show, let's do some big match predictions, just rapid fire real quick. So let's do Nyla versus Chris Stat. Do we think we're going to see a title change here? Who do you think is going to win? Let's start with Jeremy.
I'm going with Nyla retaining.
All right, Rich?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Nyla retaining as well. With her long chase of Riho, I think taking the belt off her right now would be kind of like cutting her legs off. So let her breathe with the belt a little bit and, give someone, to let somebody orbit. Yeah, all the other people can orbit around, Nyla.
Chris Statlander, orbit.
Yes.
Nice. All right, Floyd?
Definitely Nyla. Nyla all the way.
Hell yeah, man. Me too. Princess King. All right. Let's look at the tag team titles. Who do you think is going to be coming out with that? What do you think is going to happen, Jeremy?
This is the one match where I've literally gone back and forth like every day thinking like who's going to win. Because literally I think it can go either way. Like you could have the Young Bucks win, which leads to, an Omega Hangman one-on-one match. Or you could have Omega and Page win, which just leads to more dissension between the Elite and set something up down the line. And you do Omega and Page for some other team to lose the title. So there's just so many ways they can go. I think I'm going to go with the Young Bucks.
Fair enough. Rich?
Yeah, this is the match I'm most looking forward to. Anytime the Elite fight each other, it's usually like a really big deal, especially if you've been a fan of the Elite before AEW. It's kind of, I think Heyman and Kenny have been tremendous as a team together, but I don't think they're together forever, so to say. So I'm going to go with the Young Bucks here. The Young Bucks won the belts. They still have tons of fresh matches ahead of them with people they're either tied with or hold wins over them already. It's a smart way to get the belt on the Bucks to not cut anyone else that's not in the Elite off. And they can still, do their, they can do a legendary Young Bucks title reign right now if they want. And then, maybe a new challenger pops up over the summer. But in order to get there, the Bucks need to have the belts now.
Absolutely, man. Floyd, what you got?
I'm going with the Young Bucks. I see the match working out with Kenny playing his injury from the Pac off his injury, and Hangman kind of getting left, to fend and lose, and then getting pissed at Kenny, and that sets up our feud heading into Double or Nothing, or whenever they decide to do the match. That's how I see it working out. And then the Bucks, best tag team division in the world. You really do want the belts on a full-time tag team.
Yeah, well, and as Rich said, there's a lot of opportunities for fresh matches to come up out of that. I think I've got the Young Bucks, too. I think you make a great point with Omega nursing an injury from his match with Pac. But I also think, Paige went around on being the Elite to all the other tag teams, and we're talking to them about Nick and Matt's weaknesses. And I think maybe we might see him try to strategize that with Kenny Omega, who isn't going to want to take advantage of his friends in that way. And I think we might see Paige get pissed off enough to do that himself, which is going to end up causing a rift even further between him and Omega and cost them the title. That's going to be fun. Let's take a look at MJF versus Cody. This one, man. All right, Jeremy, what you got? It's going to be nuts.
This one is another hard one to predict just because, obviously, you had Cody having to go through all these hoops to finally get the MJF match. And, it feels like the momentum's kind of in Cody's, corner right now. And then you have MJF, who's, been this diabolical heel. He's whooped him on TV, made him go in a cage match against Wardlow. So yeah, there's a lot riding on this match, but I'm going to go with MJF. I think with MJF winning, they can continue the feud, and there's more money to be made in Cody versus MJF.
Yeah, man, it's been a tremendous build with MJF and Cody. Just something AEW can put down in their highlight reel. Lots of highlight moments, including the whooping, as Jeremy mentioned, the big cage match, and just MJF's general, paranoia of like, no matter what I do, this dude keeps walking through it. So in the end, MJF's going to have to, reach down deep and realize he's going to have to take this dude out himself, because your monster couldn't do it, your belt couldn't do it. I think if MJF loses, this will seriously hurt him, because Cody's been built up to like a god-like level going into this. So I'm picking MJF in hopes that he's not, hurt if he's defeated.
This is gonna hurt my soul, but because there's no secondary title and he can't fight for the world title, if Cody wins, where does he go?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no really way. Like I said, I know they could probably pivot another way, but it really is like, okay, are you just going to build up another big feud with someone else? It's kind of like, and I've listened to Voices of Wrestling, and they said, I still think there's money in this feud, and I agree. So I'm going with MJF to win.
Well, as much as you all are right, I cannot bring myself to say that the turd comet orbiting the planet Uranus is going to win this match. So Mr. Poopy Pants is just going to have to stay and cry in his little whittle corner. And I'm just going to have to say Cody's going to win this. Even though you guys are right, and it's probably the outcome, I cannot say those words. So therefore, I got to say Cody's going to win this one.
You never really know, because this is an extremely well booked card. There are so many matches on this show where it can go either way. So I wouldn't be shocked if Cody won, and it worked out and everyone loved it. Like they're earning their rope to play with right now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Cody could win and get the shit beat out of them after, and they continue it that way. I mean, there are a lot of ways they can go, but I just think if you're really building MJF and you're about the new stars, he needs this win.
Yeah. I almost wonder if we're going to have, I wonder if we're going to have any like interventions in this match with Arn or, with someone else.
Oh, it's a Cody match, so there's going to be a lot of interference.
Yeah, Crimson Mask. We're going to have
Oh, yeah. Me and my buddies, me and Jeremy's buddies in our our local wrestling group chat, we had like a bet on how many minutes, inside of would Cody bleed. I'm taking like inside of 7 minutes, like he'll be bleeding. How about you guys?
Yeah. I'd say I'm going less than 10. I give him a couple more minutes, but he's gonna bleed. He's gonna bleed.
Definitely happening.
Man, somehow just has weak skin. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's in his genes, man. All right, let's take a look at the title match. Jericho and Mox. Who do you think is walking out of Revolution AEW World Champion?
I am 100% it's Jericho. Like 100%.
Jeremy?
Again, I'm conflicted, and that just shows you how well booked this card is, to the point where there are good stories whether either guy wins here with a lot of the matches they've booked on this card. And with Jericho winning, obviously that first champion, you kind of want a long reign to establish the prestige of the title. But I'm thinking, if Jericho wins, like, where do they go next? Like, who's the next challenger to come? I don't really, I feel like he's beaten a lot of the top guys already, and is he going to face like an up-and-coming guy? I'm not sure. Then on the other hand, you got Mox, who, if Mox wins, that's, he thumps Jericho. You get this fresh babyface champion. There's some heels he could probably face, but I don't know. I think I'm leaning with Le Champion, and I'm going to go with Jericho finding a way to retain.
Yeah, we were trying to eliminate people, by process of elimination. All right, if Jericho wins, who are the baby faces that, he can, prospectively go against? And then, of course, we got a couple new additions like Lance Archer showing up. And then, as Jeremy mentioned, if you look the other way, if Mox wins, like the highest kind of positioned heel is MJF. I don't think they're going that direction. I don't, know if they would do that. Cody can't challenge right now, and whatever happens with Paige and Omega, you figure there's going to be some type of fallout. So for me, like the safest option is the guy that's undefeated in the segments, that is still in a career renaissance. Moxley has not done a high-profile loss yet in the promotion, and this could be the first one. You can always come back from it. And he's been around. Moxley's tied up a lot around the world right now, while Jericho is primarily in AEW. So with him being a champion in New Japan, with him going to Scrapper Mania to fight David Starr pretty soon in a non-title match, that probably is a giveaway that David Starr is going to win. But Le Champion, like Jericho rides again, and I think him going into Double or Nothing, with the belt for anniversary of the debut show is like, that's when it's time to start making a decision.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was thinking that they would hold out for Double or Nothing, but it wasn't until you mentioned that upcoming match with David Starr where I was like, nah, they could still go with Mox, because you could still have Pac end up running up into that position. You've got Kenny Omega. That's my future dream match of the AEW title, is Mox and Kenny Omega. Like I would love to see that happen. But when you mentioned an upcoming match, it's like, if that's a title match, you can't really have the other guy lose from the other promotion. So once you kind of start working that way into it, okay, Jericho wins. I'm still going to say Mox just because I want to. Once
Go
again,
ahead.
like there's logic, there's reason. You guys are all making great, reasonable, accurate points. But I got to go with my gut here and be like, man, it would just be really cool to see Mox and Kenny Omega, or Mox and Pac, or, just see how we can mix it up a bit. But if Jericho retains and we keep that going until Double or Nothing, man, I'm happy for that too, because I'm going to be there. So, hey. That
Can't
works.
beat that.
Do y'all think Mox still rocks the eye patch this weekend?
I think there's two ways it can go. Either he can pull it off at the beginning of the match and be like, I'm all healed, because it was a long time ago now that he wore it or whatever, and just scare the shit out of Jericho. Or they can use it as like kind of like a way out, essentially, like Jericho re-injures the eye and something like that. So not sure which one though.
Yeah.
Do you think he shows up as Painmaker or Le Champion?
You never know. He might show up as something new.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Even different.
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
This is true. Well,
I got a question for you guys real quick.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any possibility of Lance Archer interfering to help Jericho win? So they announced that he's debuting next week, but could that be like a red herring to throw us off? And he debuts on Saturday, and there's history of him and Mox from Wrestle Kingdom, and he comes out and attacks to help.
It could
Jericho
be.
win.
They could absolutely do that if they play up that history between them, because like we know it's there. We know it's recent. So I would love for them to play up him coming in and then immediately gunning after Mox. And that would protect Mox in his loss and set up a future feud for him. And, have Jericho still retain his title, and everything is fine and glory with that.
I'm all about it. I didn't even think about it. But
they would just have to be careful that they don't go into like goofy main event area, because what AEW's been really good at for the most part is clean finishes, and finishes like they're still building their pay-per-view audience. So I think they should be careful with interference and different type of things like that before like make sure it's really ready to go as far as like consistent pay-per-view audience, which you can argue they have right now, but I would be so cautious of like messing that up potentially.
See, now you didn't change my mind, Rich, because I was like, oh man, I'm all for it. And then you're like, yeah, I really do.
Don't want a DQ finish.
I don't want a DQ finish. I don't want to like, oh, hey, look over here, and then like the person forgets they're in a wrestling match for some reason. Yeah, so I don't know. I think they should go with. To me, my biggest would be to work the eye as his detriment and what ends up costing him the match, and that at that point it doesn't hurt Mox to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I hope it's a clean finish, and maybe if they're gonna do Lance Archer beating him up, he does it after the match has been decided.
I like that, because then you just beat him down.
Yeah, like he's just,
after he's down and out.
Do it after the match.
Yeah, because I'm just like, Mox is already at his lowest moment, and then Archer comes and beats him while he's down. Yeah.
There you go. Well, it's going to be a crazy show. I can't wait for it, especially considering the fact that it's Saturday. We don't have to wait that long. It's going to be awesome. I would like to thank you both, Rich and Jeremy, so much for joining us on our 50th show and our celebration for Dynamite and Revolution. It has been an absolute joy having you join us this week.
Awesome. Like, thank you guys for having us on, and congratulations on 50 episodes. A lot of shows never get this far, and thank you guys for all you do on the network, and I'm just, proud to have you guys on here.
Yes. And
it was a pleasure being on, guys. Thanks you so much for inviting us on.
Yeah, I'm a special thank you to Jeremy and Josh. I always leave Josh out when I say thank you for making the call, asking me to do the show. And then, Jeremy said, hey, ask Amy if she wants to be on the show with you. He made that call. Again, the exalted one, putting us all in the right places. I was struggling to find a consistent co-host. And so Amy, I thank you. For your consistency, because it was so hard. Every week it was a different person, and every week it was trying to develop chemistry with a different person, and it was hard. Those first few episodes were episodes. They were definitely episodes.
They happened.
Yes.
You were Sean Spears trying to find your tag team.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was just like, yeah. So I thank you all for all of you have contributed to the show. Rich definitely helps me think of the show differently, because I listen to One Nation Radio, and of course we are the proclivity for positivity. I get some truth when I listen to that show.
Because I'm a huge AEW fan, no secret, but like I'm not gonna let them slide and just start excusing them if I feel like there's an area they're slipping in, but I've been really happy with this company from January 1st forward. I liked a lot of the stuff they did in December. There was some things that aren't around anymore, that aren't happening, that people really got on them about, but it was always going to take time for AEW to kind of grow into what you wanted it to be. Now that people are established, it's like, this is the monster that we all knew that was in there, and why we all, from day one, from the rally, it made us all so excited. It's for a reason, and I think that they just have to stay slow and steady, and they're going to grow this thing. And, within a couple years, you could be looking at, a whole new ball game here.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the numbers. I know not ratings chasing. I'm not talking about the ratings every week, but I am waiting on the numbers to start going up consistently, because they're putting on quality programs every week, and I know the audience is there. I know there are some wrestling fans that would definitely enjoy the show. So I'm just like, I'll keep watching the number. Honestly, they've dispatched the only competition that they had. It's not even a competition anymore. So it's just like, now they're competing with themselves, and it's just to put on their best program every week. And I really definitely enjoy it, and I hope have y'all on as I get to 50 more. And we got the newly dubbed Phoenix AEW. I love it. I love how it
amazing.
Sounds. I love how it sounds, right? I love it.
I do too.
Yes,
it just feels good.
It feels like AEW just got another win. You know what I mean? This is like we win and we got another one, you know? So when the name changes. But again, thank you all. Again, thank anyone that has listened to this show for a second, minute, hour. I appreciate you. Definitely leave your reviews. You know, if you want to press on that donate button, we don't matter. But remember, whether it's home, work, or school, always do your best to be elite.